What if you were being haunted by the monkey on your back?
Wander with us. I'm Bethany,
I am still Connor.
and this is Wonder with Us.
It is still a podcast.
We are still talking about the Twilight Zone.
And I'm still whispering.
Stop it. I can't.
I can't help it. I love this microphone.
I mean, it
I
is
just
a really
wanna
nice
whisper into
microphone,
it.
but I can't with the
I just want
headphones.
to whisper.
All right. So I got a question for you.
Lay it on me.
What if you and I won an all expenses paid trip to Las Vegas, and I decided to be cheap and just play the nickel slots and lost every time? How would you react to that?
For starters, long before we ever got to Vegas or a nickel slot, I would react and say, that's a scam because I never signed up for a 2, 3, 4, 12 night stay in Vegas because who the fuck would want to go to Vegas?
Apparently, they were contest winners in this episode.
Second, we get there, you decide to play the nickel slots, dope. I can afford the nickel slots for a bit.
Even if we have really bad luck, though,
They're nickel slots. Why the fuck does it matter?
would you still play?
Would I play?
Yeah.
Nickel slots? Yeah.
I mean, because all expenses are already covered. It's just whatever money we want to spend at the time.
Right. Well, I mean, nickel slot. Nobody's ever got rich off the nickel slots. People, I imagine, have actually gone broke on the nickel slots. However, you're not dumb.
Mm.
I don't think that I'm dumb most days. Some days I am. But point being, you want to play the nickel slots, play the nickel slots. We live in Oregon. We can go to any restaurant in town
Yeah.
and play some nickel slots.
And not
don't
feel
understand
so bad
it.
about it. I think I'd feel better with the penny slots if those are still a thing.
I don't know because I don't ever get, like, I go to places, not so much anymore, but back when I went to places,
Mm-hmm.
went to places all the time with nickel slots or dollar slots or $20 slots or whatever the hell they had. Never played them. I just don't care. I'm not somebody who's
slot,
gonna.
though, you can play a penny slot 100 times and still only lose $1. Like,
Sure, I'm not questioning what you're spending because whether it's the penny slots or the nickel slots or the dollar slots, like, you're only gonna put in what you're willing to lose.
right.
And I don't like it. Whatever. If it's your thing, it's your thing. I don't personally get it. I don't play the lottery. I don't play the slots. I know what I have to do to earn $1,
Yeah.
and it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
I've only been gambling one time, like legally, on my.
How many times have you been gambling illegally?
If you don't,
You're about to incriminate yourself. Don't say it. Don't you say it.
Like,
Don't you answer that question, woman.
just give
Don't.
me.
Oh, no. No. I can't afford the rent here on my own. Do not get yourself put in jail over some gambling BS.
Anyway, it wasn't anything important. On my 18th birthday, friend of a friend.
And what she means is that it never actually happened.
Right. Exactly.
IRFBQTS, whoever's in charge.
Okay. 18th birthday, friend of a friend took me to a casino and gave me money to play with.
That sounds like such an unappealing birthday.
I mean, I won the first time and that was great and I should have stopped, but I didn't stop and I lost everything. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done now.
Nature of gambling, folks.
But see,
The house always wins.
I
At
had-
least that's what they told me in Ocean's 11.
I lost all love for gambling at that point because I was like, well, I had $50 and now I don't. It was really disappointing.
That's been my experience every time I've ever gone gambling, with the exception of playing blackjack, which once I left while I was ahead, and I think I profited like $13.
Yeah.
It was dope. It was also at like a youth group basement thing where we definitely shouldn't have been gambling.
Yeah.
religion,
Fun stuff.
youth. Any who's it?
This episode,
What about this episode?
17.
Yeah, but you see here in the notes, you're in purple.
Are we like halfway through season 1?
Man, you can't ask me questions like that. I don't know how many episodes are in season 1. I assume it's like 75.
Well, this episode is episode
Oh, we
17.
getting a record-breaking early Connor Googles.
Okay, fine. I'll
Feel
wait
free to keep talking.
Oh.
I'm just gonna Google quietly on my phone.
and figure out how many episodes are actually in season 1. This
That's not what
episode is
I'm doing.
episode
I've
17.
memorized this information. I don't have to look that up.
Right.
It'd be ridiculous.
It's called The Fever.
Oh dear God, there are 36 episodes in season 1,
So,
which I
no.
remembered off the top of my head.
So we're not quite there.
Not quite there.
The
Getting there,
Fever originally aired January 29th, 1960.
Okay, we got to back that up because I was doing some on the fly editing, and that was some god awful dead air. It was directed by
Yeah.
Go Connor. You're
That's all right.
nailing this.
It's okay.
Directed by Robert Florey.
It's later
Who's-
than we usually record.
Robert Florey is not a name I recognize from season 1 so far.
It's a newer
Is this a first time?
for this guy, yeah. So far.
Well, shit, everybody. Welcome to the show, Robert Florey.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's good to have you here, Robert.
Well, he's not actually here.
Hey, don't poo-poo on my imagination.
All right, fine.
Also, yes, and. God.
It was written by the brain daddy himself, Rod Serling.
Brain Daddy. We got music by Bernard Herrmann. Yet again, Bernard bringing it home for season 1.
And our good old favorite photographer, George T. Clemens.
Director of photography, yet again, good on ya. Our first actor for this one is Everett Sloan. Plays the character. There's a hair on my microphone. That's got to go. Did you hear that? That was microphone ball ASMR.
Stop it.
Plays Franklin Gibbs. Gibbs was not born. Everett Sloan was born October 1st, 1909. Good God, in New York. He died August 6th, 1965 in Los Angeles. Did that wrong at the age of 56. Best known for his roles. I
mean, he did many things.
I can't.
Take a breath.
I just can't.
Let's continue.
I can't take a breath. I have to run out of breath. It's the only way I can do this. Best known for his role as Mr. Bernstein. Mr. Bernstein in Orson Welles' classic film Citizen Kane in 1941. I got this. He started acting on the stage at age 7, continued throughout his life pre-film. With the stock market crash in 1929, he returned to radio as employment and became a fairly successful voice actor, even playing the voice of Adolf Hitler in the March of Time series. Serials?
Yeah.
In the March of Time, cornflakes. I got this. He debuted on Broadway in 1935 in George Abbott's Boy Meets Girl, not to be mistaken for the 1995 Boy Meets World, which
Super
is
great show.
far better in my opinion. And then joined the famous Mercury Players, which was formed and directed by Orson Welles. I'm starting to see a pattern.
Yeah.
Much like the Johnny Depp-Tim Burton relationship, Sloan and Welles worked together fairly often. It was, Welles who gave Sloan his start in film. From Broadway, he moved to television. His second most known role was Walter Ramsey in Rod Serling's film Patterns.
I didn't know that he did stuff
I-
outside of the series.
I just said that so weird.
Did you?
The emphasis on the syllable was so bad on Serling's film. Pause. Name of film. I literally talk for a living.
I mean, do you want to do it again?
I don't, because I already did it.
Okay.
I have just butchered this information so horribly. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you. Patterns was released in 1956. In 64, his eyesight began to fail rapidly. He quit acting and became deeply depressed, according to information. And it is believed that he committed suicide in 1965, although didn't find any information to confirm or deny that, so I'm not passing judgment yet.
Sure. We
Who else
just
we
know
got?
that he finished his acting career way earlier than most.
Really early and fairly sudden, all things considered.
Hmm. And then we have Vivi Janis. She
Vivi.
played Franklin Gibbs' wife, Flora. She was born May 29th, 1911 in Nebraska. She died September 7th, 1988 in Los Angeles at age 77. She was known for many appearances in the Lux Video Theater 1950 TV series, Ben Casey, a 1961 series, and the 1955 film The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues.
Ooh, that would be a good one for Halloween.
Do you know that? 'Cause I don't know
I
what that is.
don't. I just assume it's terrible.
All right. She also had several appearances in Gunsmoke,
Oh, why am I not surprised?
I mean, but not-
Gunsmoke, you
but not Bonanza.
headhunters.
so she didn't get the big three.
She didn't get the big three, but she's not quite a ghost. She's somewhere in between
Yeah.
the big three and the ghost. What shall we call them? Perhaps people. TM.
Sliding scale for people.
Sliding scale for people between worked on the Twilight Zone and did nothing else and worked on the Twilight Zone plus the other big three, which, let's see if memory serves, we got Bonanza, we got Gunsmoke, we got...
You gonna have to Google it?
I'm not going to have to Google it because I'm just going to have you answer it. What's the other one?
I don't remember.
Oh, God, we don't even remember the big three. And guess what, folks? It does not
I thought
matter.
The Twilight Zone was included in that.
Oh, shit, the big three. We remembered the third one of the big three.
It's currently the episode
It's the
we're
one
watching.
we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's so late. I swear to drunk we're not God. It's just late. Alrighty, so tell me.
Mhm.
What does IMDb have to say about this?
Well, I'd love to tell you about that. But first, let's step out of the Twilight Zone and into the elevator.
I like that. Did you come up with that on your own?
IMDb says a middle-aged man catches gambling fever from a slot machine that he believes is calling his name.
That is concise.
So, based on that, would you watch this episode if that was all that you got?
A middle-aged man catches gambling fever from a slot machine that he thinks is calling his name?
Yeah.
No.
Not enough information?
No, plenty of information. That sounds bad.
Sure.
That sounds like an episode of a show about a man who's addicted to gambling who is hallucinating. That doesn't sound appealing to me.
Well, as this episode goes on, it's pretty concise and relevant.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm simply saying that based on that description, IMDb, I ain't watching this episode. However, I don't think anybody's paying IMDb to, convince people to watch their stuff.
To do full-time reviews.
I assume that nobody on this planet is actually being paid to do full-time reviews because that would be blissful. So no, based on that, I would not, in fact, watch this episode.
But you did, so we'll tell some people about
I
it.
didn't know anything about what IMDb said when I watched the episode. All I knew is that there was a New Year's special and they were going to play a whole bunch of episodes, and every year I watched it until I had seen almost all of them, I think.
All right. Well, fun fact.
Doubtful. Wait on me.
This episode was inspired by a trip to Vegas that Rod and his wife took to celebrate the signing of this Twilight Zone series. They're
Okay.
just like, hey, we signed a thing, let's go to Vegas. And so they went, and it's reported that she had excellent luck on this trip and was like
Babe.
winning every time.
We started a podcast
Yeah.
17 episodes ago.
Yeah.
You want to go to Vegas?
Let's make it to 20.
I don't think we got 20 episodes in us.
Furthermore, COVID restrictions might put a damper on that.
We just. I didn't even want to go to Vegas, but now that you told me I can't, like, I just want to go to Vegas.
Okay. Plan a trip for next month.
How about let's plan a trip for, let's call it a very even 13 months after,
Okay.
like, the whole pandemic blows over.
Sure.
That way, we will have both forgotten, and I won't be held liable for suggesting we do such a terrible, terrible thing.
Okay, that's fair.
Digging it, you hear to hear, folks. We got us a date.
But yeah, Rod's wife had excellent luck on this trip and kept winning, and he was getting frustrated because he kept losing, but he kept battling the machine in hopes that he would win. Went back to his room and wrote this episode, which is funny because that's not the case in this episode. Ethel
No,
and
he
Frank
definitely took some creative license with that particular trip on this one.
added a little fiction to the real life scenarios. Ethel and Frank Gibbs won a 3-day, 2-night, all-expense-paid trip to a Las Vegas hotel. Ethel, throughout this entire thing, is almost as enthusiastic as a kid at Disneyland.
She's so happy to be there.
Everything is amazing and shiny and noise and sound and
All
money.
the noises.
yeah.
All the jingles and the jingles.
Franklin, on the other hand, super grumpy like the whole time. He would be much better suited staying at home because
Absolute
he's just
sourpuss.
like I'm just here because you want a thing, because I guess she did like a crossword puzzle contest, and that's how they actually won the trip. It said that in the beginning. It's
God,
kind of
what a
they
better
opened it.
time.
She had like a turn of phrase that caused her to win this contest that then won them the trip. And he continues to tell her through the whole thing, like, you were only here because you won the trip and you wanted to do this, so we're here because you want to be here.
Yeah, he's as far as supportive spouses go,
Not so much.
I would describe him as not.
Right. Yeah.
No, he's just kind of a dick the entire time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we start off with, we have Ethel, that is the wife who won the contest.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited to be here. She's exclaiming all over all the things, looking at all the new machines. She has absolutely terrible luck on her first go.
Which was a nickel machine.
Which was a nickel machine. It was a single nickel in a machine in which Franklin tried to keep her from playing because what a waste of money and morale. Morale. I literally can't today. He has moral objections with gambling and just keeps telling her that it's no good. She puts in a single nickel, it doesn't go her way. He's an absolute prick. As really the bottom line.
Yeah.
Is that he's a stingy prick.
Comes up and starts making a scene, and she looks at him. Don't make a scene. He's already making a scene because he's yelling at her.
Yeah, fairly berating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's no good.
He's not a nice guy.
He's not a nice guy. It is shortly after that a very drunk man stumbles into Franklin, puts a coin in his hand, and essentially forces him to
put
a
in the
coin
machine.
in the machine. He decides to, with a little encouragement from Ethel, go ahead and play the machine.
Reluctantly.
Since the coin is already in there and it wasn't his coin. He's perfectly not entirely willing to do it, but he does it. And wouldn't you know, he hits it.
Mm-hmm.
He wins himself a couple of bucks.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good day.
And he's so bewildered, like he totally didn't expect it to happen. And then when it happened, he's like, this is what this is? This is what gambling is? Like,
This
money
is
comes
the
out?
gambling
I won some money.
He then claims that he's too mature to just gamble away the money that he just won, that he wasn't.
Unlike his wife, he
Unlike
keeps
his
making
wife.
comparisons.
He several times points that out. And as he walks away, we hear a very odd sound that, if you listen closely, sounds a lot like what I can only imagine a swamp monster running his voice through a vocoder and then farting into the microphone
Yeah.
to say out Franklin
I
will sound
was-
like.
I was going to say, it sounds, because this is spooky season, it's October. My brain
It's not
flashed
October.
to, was it The Shining with the red rum and the kid? Is that the one I'm
If
thinking
I say
of?
yes, I might be wrong, and then I'll look like a twat. So I'm going to go ahead and say
I'm voting,
Hmm.
but you know what I'm talking about, the sound of the kid's voice when he's red rum, red rum. It's like that.
I know
but
that what
like-
you just did was fucking terrifying.
I mean, yeah.
I know that looking into your eyes while you did that made my hair stand on edge and made me want to reach for a knife I do not currently possess. That was horrifying. Please don't ever do it again.
You're welcome. It's payback for you.
For the
whispering
love
in the
of
mic
God,
in the
it's like
beginning.
midnight. Can't just be doing that at a dude.
Anyway, that's what the machine's voice reminded me of.
Okay, the machine's voice reminded you of a serial killer sitting across the table from you. For the love of God.
I have another fun fact.
You have another fun fact? Okay, lay it on me. I
Yeah.
love fun facts. Anything to undo what you just did.
Sure. So, as we already know, this episode is supposed to have taken place in Las Vegas. At least
It's
that's what
so obviously
that's what
Las
the
Vegas.
set is lined up to be. There's a window that we see with like palm trees out the back, and I was under the understanding that most casinos don't have windows on purpose. There's only one window that comes into view, and it's like at the beginning shot where they're being introduced and they have their picture taken.
Yeah, with the super weird camera people,
Yeah.
like reporter
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah.
That's a very strange exchange.
But anyway, they're there, and so like they have the whole setup to make it look like a Las Vegas casino. But this being filmed in California, slots were illegal at the time. So the producers had to go through this big old rigmarole with like LAPD and have them like broker a deal so that they can have actual slot machines on the set. And they had like a squad of police officers on set with them at all times, making sure that nobody took the slot machines because they weren't actually supposed to have them. So they
All
were
right,
being
so-
policed.
Okay. So first of all, I wish I could have been there for that phone call. that phone call of, "Hi, I need to speak with the police department about some slot machines that I'm bringing into the state."
It was a Buck Houghton. Houghton? The producer.
Houghton.
Sure.
We don't know how to pronounce any of this crap, people. Bear with us. That I wish I could be there for that conversation because I bet it wasn't as interesting as my mind is making it seem. But more importantly, you saw these slot machines, and if you have not seen these slot machines, watch this episode because these are not the kind of things that you stuff in a bag and walk out of a place with.
They're very bulky and clanky.
They are bigger than most of the people on set. There is one person in one of the scenes who is bigger than these machines. He was having trouble carrying his cup. I don't think he's walking out of there with a slot machine.
Sure.
It feels like a squad of Los Angeles Police Department, God love them, is unnecessary.
At the time, it was the 60s.
It does. That still seems unnecessary
The
for some slot machines that nobody's gonna walk away with. You would have to back a pickup truck into the studio and load one of these motherfuckers with a dolly to get it outside.
Yeah. Nevertheless, though, the producer is quoted as saying that there was a policeman on set at all times to make damn sure that nobody didn't take off with one and set it up in his uncle's barber shop because apparently slot machines in barbershops were a big thing.
Oh my God, I hope that's true. I hope that's not just like him exaggerating the statement. I really hope that was a concern. that somebody was going to come on set to find that there was a slot machine missing and that they were going to find it in Joe's bar. Oh
I mean,
my
it was
God, I
obviously
so hope that was
concerning
a real
enough that they had to
concern.
bring in police, so that's fun.
I feel like bringing in the police was a legal thing and not so much a concern thing.
Maybe.
Only because, again, nobody was walking away with one of these damn slot machines.
Right.
Oh my God. Anyway. Entirely random and not at all planned out. What was the machine?
It, from what I could find, was a modified Watling Rollatop.
There you go.
Also, where the name the one-armed bandit came from, because the little pull lever on the side makes it look like one arm, and then the way that it's set up, it has like an eye.
It does have a weird eyeball-looking thing on it. It's a fairly unsettling machine to look at.
Especially when it's lit up, because the little slot where the money is supposed to come out looks like
a little
mouth.
smiley face.
Yeah.
It's creepy as all hell. But I mean, if you gots to gamble, you gots to gamble.
It's what they were working with. It's pretty fun.
So what do we got next? What else happens in this delightful episode?
So Franklin, after he puts the money in reluctantly and actually wins something, and then has this big ol' speech about how he's mature and he's not gonna stand here like a buffoon putting money back into the machine. He's going to the room. So he goes back, and the next scene is he's not able to sleep. Like, he's laying on top of the bed, like fully clothed. She's in bed asleep, and he's laying there, and then suddenly gets up and he takes the coins off the counter, and his wife's like, "What are you doing? It's the middle of the night."
Keep in mind, the stack of coins sitting on that dresser looked so impressive. Like, this looked like a stack of, like, drachma. Just this was a stack of giant, shiny, perfectly shaped coins calling.
That were probably worth a ton of monies.
It
their
looked
fiction.
like $4.
Yeah, but what they were trying to say
I know
is-
in 1960 that was like
A lot of money.
$4,000
Yeah.
compared to now, yeah.
So he's gonna go and feed it back into the machine because that would be the responsible thing to do. So she's like,
It's immoral money.
right,
It's immoral
dirty money.
It's
You can't
dirty
keep
money.
the dirty money
Can't keep the
around.
dirty money.
So she watches him go down, and then it comes back, and he's standing at this machine, and he's becoming increasingly erratic and irrational and just like feeding money back in. And then he goes, because she finally was like, "Franklin, it's like the middle of the night. You've been here for 3 hours now. It's time to go to bed because you know how cranky you get in the morning if you don't get sleep." He goes, I know that. Stand here and don't let anybody take this machine." And then he walks over to the cashier and he writes a check.
He writes a fucking check for more money.
And then he cashes the check, and then he comes back and he continues to feed it into the machine. He's losing.
Not addicted though.
Oh no,
not
he doesn't
addicted.
have a problem.
No, he
He's-
just has to win his money
He's
back.
mature. He's above it.
It stole his money. He just has to get that back.
Yeah. So she again tries to talk some sense into him, like, "Hey, you really should go to bed." This entire time, that one window that I talked about,
Mhm.
there's lighting change in it, so you can see it shifts from like light to dark. Like, time is passing. Dude's been there for
The
hours.
lighting change was very impressive.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say it's very impressive. That makes it sound like it's impressive. It was simply well done.
Well done for the time and what they had. Yeah. So then it says like 5 hours into it, the staff are commenting like, "He's been there for 5 hours," and they're giving each other knowing looks like, well, you know what they say, when they get hooked, they really get hooked. So
And it is accurate.
She
he
tries-
is like sweating at this point.
oh yeah, he's glued to this machine. It becomes an automatic response to feed the coin, pull the
Feed
arm.
the coin, pull the arm, feed the coin, pull the arm. Never, ever, 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 ever.
So finally,
It's my next EDM
is it?
EDM track coming out. It's
Do
called
it.
Never, Ever, 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 Ever Win.
I like it.
Be on the lookout for the Boots and Catson.
The what?
Boots and Cats.
Okay.
Boots Boots and Katzen, Boots and Katzen, Boots and Katzen. There'll be a pretty sick little bass line over it, something like brab, 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 brab. Boots and Katzen, Boots and Katzen, Boots. It's gonna be good stuff. I'll do some synth over the top too, something sexy.
So maybe don't consider this a preview and like listen for it when it comes out.
I mean, it's gonna sound exactly like that. It's gonna be great.
Oh, okay. Finally, Franklin spends their last dollar. Or at least that's the impression that we get.
That is the impression.
He has spent all of their money, and he does actually say that this was the last dollar. So he puts their last dollar into the machine, and the machine eats it. And so he loses it, and he kicks the machine over. And he's like, "You took my last dollar," and he's screaming at this machine.
This chunk of cast iron that he has managed to kick over, which, all things considered, the casino should be grateful as it did not fall through the floor and onto the head of somebody below them, because realistically it should have.
They look very heavy.
It does not look light.
So then, security comes and they take him away. And they escort
in the politest fashion.
Yeah.
They're so kind. These
they don't
casino
even
guards.
say very much. They just kind of put their hand on his shoulder and they all walk out.
I mean, I don't think they needed to say it. I feel like he knew he fucked up.
Yeah.
But well,
and we hear him just continuing to scream as they lead them back out, and then they go back to their room, which would not happen today. If dude lost his temper and freaked out to the point that they had to call security to escort him out, they would have lost their stay.
I don't think it
Trip
would have happened
canceled.
then. I
Like,
think that was some TV magic. But being, born in 19, I wouldn't know. Following him being escorted out, we arrive back in their room where they shouldn't be. And they are talking. Well,
he is talking.
He is talking, and he is talking abrasively. The quote listed here is, "It's not even a machine. It's an entity. It's a thing with a mind and will of its own. It deliberately broke down," which is not at all the ravings of a lunatic.
No.
Perfectly sane thing to think that the machine is sentient and decided to break down because it knew it was your last dollar.
It broke down so it didn't have to give the payout every time.
And then we hear it. I was gonna imitate it. I'm not gonna do that because it's gonna sound like a fart. Like there's nothing.
I
there's
think you
nothing,
should now, though.
I can't.
'Cause now I want to hear it. That was pretty close. I think you need to.
Did inhale it?
No.
No, not that.
I mean, at least
I could add that to the EDM track.
It was understandable, though. It was croaky, but it was like Franklin.
Point being, we hear this swamp monster machine vocoder fart
sound.
Franklin's name, and he looks terrified.
Oh yeah,
because he heard it again. Keep in mind, we've been hearing this throughout the entire episode. When he's laying in his bed, he hears it. When he's walking through the casino floor, he hears it.
But only
everywhere
after
he goes. Only after the first time he feeds it in. He never heard it before because he wasn't addicted. That monkey wasn't stabbing him in the back with a quarter.
Right. And Ethel can't hear any of this.
Of course she can't, because Ethel's not fucking insane.
So she thinks that he's just literally losing his mind because she's like, there's nothing there.
And she's right.
Yeah.
Because what happens after he hears it call his name this time is he opens the door to see this machine previously out of order with a nice little out of order sign on it.
I liked that touch too. Sorry to jump in, but one of the staff that was working the floor after security escorted him out, they just kind of walk over and take a flipped over sign.
Hang.
An out of order sign after like 4 of them heave the thing up off the floor. Just very gently put the sign on it. Out of order.
Out of order. So he sees this machine at the end of the hallway.
Yep.
Super creepy fashion.
Rolling
but that's not all.
Him.
It is coming at him. Yeah. It has come back for him. But Franklin doesn't have any more money. What's he going to do? So he does what any normal, sane, I'm not here to insane shame.
But
that had a bad mouthfeel.
I don't think that's a thing either.
I'm sure it's a thing somewhere. Point being, he sees this thing encroaching down the hallway upon him very slowly.
Mm-hmm.
It is not moving quickly. It's moving at about the pace you expect a slot machine to move, which
If
is
it
to
were
say,
on wheels.
not at all by itself. But if somebody had nudged it on wheels, perhaps. So he begins backing away from it very quickly, backing away, backing away, backing away, backing away. Gotta get away from it, gotta get away from it. And he runs out of room. He finds himself cornered
With his back to a window.
with his back to the window.
Uh-oh.
And then he gently brushes against the window, and it shatters as though a gunshot has gone through it. And we watch these beautiful panes of sugar glass explode and crumble behind the weight of his shoulder brushing against them, and he falls out the window.
And they didn't cut the scene
They
quick
didn't
enough.
cut the camera soon enough because we see him fall out of frame, and then his feet stop falling because he hit the ground.
So they very quickly slide to the right of the camera. Just
It's
in
so
the
beautiful.
Bottom right
He
frame.
falls out the window. His body disappears from frame. His feet are in the air. His feet stop falling. And then in like a split moment of panicked, oh my God, they roll out of frame.
Yeah.
You guys,
And then
cut it 2 frames earlier than you did, and that would have been great.
Ethel scream for like
Oh
two
my
and a
God,
half
Ethel
minutes.
scream. She should have been nominated for something like best scream following a character's husband falling out a window 3 feet to his death 2 stories below.
Because she screams for like a minute and 30
It is
seconds.
so, she's not a smoker.
solidly.
It is so, she's not even a vapor. It is so brutal.
She just has like hands on face, hands in hair.
Straight
just
Home Alone. Oh my God.
But then when the camera pans back to Franklin's now lifeless body laying on the ground.
She stopped screaming at this point because now she's done mourning.
Right.
She's mourned him enough, the shitbag he was.
Oh, minute and 30 seconds. It's what he deserved.
More than he deserved.
So we see his body cloaked in like sugar glass and window pane, but only on the right side.
Yeah, there's like a couple tiny slivers around him, but all of the glass is completely just like confined to his right arm area.
Is that where his shoulder brushed the window?
It's really hard to say because he fell so far. Hard to say. Actually, to be fair, the glass fell in such a way that I would not be surprised to see it had fallen 3 feet from the window to the pavement.
And they probably did that cut scene. Okay, now just lay in the glass, like right here.
Oh,
How they lined
it
them
was
up.
definitely I think it was a completely different framed shot because it is so bad.
Mm.
Whatever the case may be, he's fallen to his death. Ethel screams for 9 years. We cut. We have the EMT and a police officer of some sort,
And a whole
ostensibly
slew of people.
LAPD.
Mm-hmm.
I assume getting his minute in the limelight. Whole bunch of people standing around because who doesn't want to see a body that just fell? And that's
They again comment on, well, his wife said he was up for 24 hours. When it hooks him, it hooks him.
I've seen several people get hooked, but never like this one.
So they all go away. And then we see just a solitary coin before Rod ends with his ending monologue.
And the ending monologue on this one is one worth going back for.
Mm-hmm.
It was well written. It was very concise. It got the point across, and it really brings home the morality of the story, which is something.
Like he was against it, and then he started playing, and then it got him. He caught the fever, which Rod said in the opening there's no known cure for.
No,
a
and I assume
virus
that was
that
like a
cannot be
deliberate dig at
treated.
his wife, if I had to guess. But
Yeah.
all right, so we come to the end of the episode. We get our sign off from Rod.
Oh, but wait, real quick. So there's like no glass near that hand, and then there's like a 2-second pause, and then we see the machine.
Yeah, the machine is. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's like looming over his lifeless body,
Yep.
as though it has just dropped his last coin.
Yeah.
Like this machine just came outside for like one last fuck you, Franklin.
Like, oh my bad. Here you go.
Sorry, dude. I was just trying to give you that fucking quarterback that I accidentally ate.
It's just flashing, and it does look really menacing though.
Dude, it's so horrifying with its big, bulbous, fucking cyclops eye and its tiny little smile and its one arm ready to karate chop you.
Definitely an entity, not a machine.
Not a machine, entity. Did it all on purpose. So that's really the moral of the story is you can't trust machines, folks. The robots are going to take over, and this is what we wanted to talk to you about. Vote yes on destroying the robots come November. I should know what day that is.
PSA to all of our listener.
Seriously, Mom, vote yes on destroying the robots. It's
For the sake of your future grandpups, please.
For the sake of your future grandpups. We should be clear, we're not giving birth to dogs. in case anybody was concerned about. It's fine. Just destroy the robots before they destroy us. What'd you think? What'd you think of this episode? Pup Mom?
This episode was something. It was.
It was something. Sorry, what'd you think? Before I interrupt you
with
what I think.
It's fine. I'll ask you in a second. I liked it. Overall, would I sit through it again? No. But I like the points that were overacted. Because I've said this from the beginning.
Many.
From the beginning, that is my favorite thing about this era of film and TV is the overacting. And it's just the absurdity of it is my favorite thing. And the fact that there was so much of it in this episode made it worth watching for me, but I wouldn't sit through it again.
Fair play. I would if it was on.
Sure.
And say our Roku remote wasn't working for the 30th time today. I would sit through it again. I'm probably not going to seek it out.
Yeah.
After this. I don't know how many times I've seen it now, but I think enough probably to get the information I need out of it. It's a good episode. It's a classic Twilight Zone episode. It is one of those Twilight Zone episodes that when you watch, you just, even if you take nothing else away from it, you will come away from it thinking that's the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
That there is the embodiment of the original Twilight Zone series.
And it didn't
which changes season to season very drastically, but that is a very
for season 1.
That is a very season 1 The Twilight Zone episode.
And it didn't feel like a waste of time.
No, it didn't. It doesn't have the 16mm shrine kind of
the drag.
Like drag where you sit down, you hit play, 28 minutes later, the episode's over, and you're thinking, oh my God, it must be time to go to bed. Oh, look, it's still noon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't have that.
Yeah, no, it's good.
All right.
Marble rating.
Marble rating. Am I going first?
Yeah, you're going first. I mean, you kind of said it without actually giving it a number. So.
No, I didn't, I don't think, because I'm not giving it a 3. I'm not giving it a 3 because I don't think it's just an episode of The Twilight Zone. I think it's more than just an episode of The Twilight Zone. It's a defining episode to me. It's a defining Twilight Zone episode, which I think is more important, if not better, than an episode of The Twilight Zone. So I'm going to give it a 4.
Stating that it's like on track in the upward shift of episodes will get better from here.
I will not and cannot rate these based on where they will go because every episode in season 1 would get a 0 if I was comparing it to season 5.
Sure.
This show improves so much episode to episode. As a matter of fact, in episode 18, we're going to start seeing like the first real use of special effects
Oh.
start happening in season episode 18,
Mm-hmm.
where we've got we go from the occasional like double exposure that they've used to bring death into a scene or something like that in
Mhm.
earlier episodes, to we get full green screen use
Whoa.
in episode 18. We get the first use of a full green screen in episode 18, and God, it's bad. It's so bad, but it's great.
Compared to what it's been.
Well, not even just compared to what it's been. Yes, compared to what it's been, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
But it's great to see that whatever happened in 1960, the audience expanded or the budget went up, whatever the case may be. We get to see the advancement of technology in this one show, which is something that we don't like. You can watch episode 1 of The Walking Dead to episode last, like episode
Mhm.
Z
Mhm.
of The Walking Dead. You can get A to Z there and see, like, there's not much advancement.
Yeah.
Like, you get Shiva,
Right.
who's like
CGI and
CGI real tiger. I don't fucking know. Whatever the case may be, like, that's pretty dope, but it's
Yeah.
not an advancement on anything that's happening.
question, because you've seen them all and I haven't. Do we get to see Technicolor as it progresses?
Yes.
Oh, so we really do, from the basics of technology in what they can do while filming and editing, all the way through from black and white to color.
Yeah, so we get from black and white to color. We get from practical effects and sets to digital-esque effects, special effects,
Early
and
digital effects.
and outside, like, full sets later on.
Cool.
It's, I mean, by the time we hit season 4, I don't remember any episodes that are like in a set.
Hmm.
You still get backlot shots
Sure.
because I mean everything uses the backlot whenever they can because that's the cheapest available option.
Right.
But no, this is one of those shows that just happened to be in such a time that we get to see
Progress.
the completion of progress through a fairly wide time frame. Mind, this isn't a show that lasted 2 years
Right.
and just burned through their budget in the last season to try to save themselves. But yeah, I mean, we get to see from episode 1 being what it was, which was really it's a pilot, and it feels like a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like somebody went, hey, this is what we want to do, and we want you to give us money so that we can afford to do it.
Right.
And by episode 18, we're seeing special effects come into play.
Yeah.
Like real, not just like, I always go back to Death
Mhm.
because they use this effect so many times in the first 17 episodes where a being appears out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's usually a cut shot.
Right.
The bathroom mirror, it's a practical effect.
Mhm.
It's a fucking hole in the wall, and they've got somebody else on the other side of the wall mirroring his movements.
Mhm.
Not unimpressive.
No, really
Impressive.
well done.
Very well done. But it's a practical effect.
Yeah.
It is an effect in camera. It's not done in post. There's nothing else there. In the next episode, we actually get to see and I won't even have to point it out. You'll know when it happens. But
Sure.
we get to see the green screen effect of two people walking together, and one of them walks right through a closed door, and the other one runs face first into the door.
I'm looking forward to that.
And it's a beautiful moment of like, y'all are moving forward. And I
Yeah.
cannot imagine the kind of reaction I would have had to that in 1960 if I had seen it for the first time. If I had seen somebody walk through a door on camera for the first time.
Mhm.
Lighting notwithstanding, because it's quite clear that
Sure.
it's lit bad, it's cut bad. It was done really well for the time.
But
and
for
it's,
the
it's amazing
viewer-
to see that and kind of wonder what it was like to see that for the first time.
For the average consumer who had nothing to do with production and is just watching it happen, I imagine it would be really cool.
Well, and in a time when none of that information was readily available.
Sure.
You couldn't
It really was
Google-
movie magic because they didn't know how it
Right.
happened.
Nobody knew.
Yeah.
Nobody outside of the industry knew. You couldn't go on YouTube and watch a tutorial on how to green screen somebody through a wall.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a thing. So no. I'm not giving it a 3 because I under some circumstances I could see it being a 3. But it is, to me, it's a real solid, like, this is the Twilight Zone kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like, this is what they do.
So
So I'm
those
giving
are-
it a 4.
Okay.
Would
Okay.
recommend.
All right.
Would tell a friend. I don't actually remember what number 4 was, but I'm giving it a 4.
Is
4
the
out of
higher
5.
the number or the lower the number? Because I think one started with
One
was super bad.
One marble is I'm sending a bill to Rod because Netflix is on him this month.
Yeah.
And then 5 is I'm naming my firstborn child after this episode.
Okay, so you think pretty highly of it to put it at 4.
I think highly of what it represents.
Sure.
It is a good episode. It is a solid episode. I very much like it. It is, I think, very highly of what it represents as an episode, more so than itself as an episode. And I
Sure.
think that's every bit as important.
Yeah, I agree. I would I'll give it a 4 as well.
I mean, you ain't got to give it a 4 just because
Well,
I did. You
'cause
can give it an
no,
honest review. It
I mean,
doesn't-
I found it.
None of this actually matters.
I found it entertaining. I will say that I'm a little bit swayed by your review of it because you know what's coming next, and I honestly haven't seen the next episode. I haven't. So I don't know what I'm looking forward to in terms of
rating
where
this
it's
one
going.
shouldn't have anything to do with what's coming next.
But as far as my general thoughts on this episode, and because I have a softness for the overreactions, I would give it a
course.
4. So it's a solid of an 8.
Fair play. So this one, episode 17, The
Mhm.
Fever, gets an 8 marble rating.
Whoop whoop.
Woot woot, setting a record, and it only took 17 episodes to get us above like a 5 or some shit.
Yeah, it's all right.
With that said, we're about to be running long, so where can the people find you?
Can find me on the Twitter at _Bethany.
Is there an apostrophe in that?
There is no apostrophe.
No apostrophe in that. And where can they find us?
They can find us at Wander With Us Cast.
WWUcast.
Okay.
I couldn't get Wander With Us.
You do
cast.
the Twitter for this. I don't do I do the Facebook for this,
Well,
which
then
is
tell
Wander
us
With
what-
Us. It's spelled out.
It's just Wander With
Wander
Us.
With Us. There's a thumbnail of a
page.
hummingbird. It's a page.
Yeah, it's got our logo, our adorable hummingbird logo.
I post about new episodes and upcoming things. Speaking of which, we're doing a Halloween thing, yes? But
Nope. Can't talk about it yet.
all right. So you guys need to be watching all the social medias because we're gonna be posting about that.
And if you don't want to watch the social media, I wouldn't blame you. It's a horrible place to be. You can instead just subscribe and then be notified when a new episode goes up.
Yeah, you could do that.
And you can subscribe on iTunes
Mhm.
or Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
We would very much appreciate that iTunes users, if y'all could subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating, however they
Give
do
us
that.
some stars.
Just if you got the time, we would greatly appreciate it. You can subscribe through Anchor, who
Mhm.
is currently hosting
Yep.
our podcast, and you can make donations through Anchor now as well. So there's
Hey,
that. They
that's a
offer that
new
as
thing.
a service that I did not know about that. I don't know
Cool.
if it's new or if I was just ignorant to it, but it's a thing that's there. So if you want to do that, do that. That'd be dope. If you don't. If you want to talk to us, you can find us at WWUcast on Twitter, Wander With Us on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
You can email us at wwucast@gmail.com.
That's the one I got mixed up. It's
Bam. Power Right in the Kisser. And yeah, so get a hold of us. If you can, like I said, if you can leave us a rating or review, we'd appreciate it. If not, it's not a big deal. That's a lie. It's a really big deal. We need it. But more importantly, if you want to get a hold of us, those are the places you can do it. If you want to say hi, talk to us, all that kind of stuff. If you just want to talk shit, do that too, because all news is good news.
and we
Which
will
is just
respond.
not a factual statement. But we will respond.
Mm-hmm.
I've been Connor.
I'm still Bethany, and thanks for wondering with us.
We'll see you next time. Cue the music.